In this video, you will learn about histograms. Now, a histogram is just a fancy word for a bar graph. Alright, so a bar graph or histogram is a way to represent data that we collect. So let's say we collect data on people's heights, for example. Here we have the height of people, and we have the range of 60 to 62, 63 to 65 inches, and etc. And we find after talking to people that we have 5 people in this first range, then we have 12 people in the second range, then 15, 20, 17, and 9 in the following ranges of heights. So this frequency distribution is another term for a table. But it's called a frequency distribution because frequency refers to the number of times something happens. So in this right column here, we see the frequency of people falling within certain height ranges. Now this table, I can create what is called a histogram or a bar graph from this same data. So the bar graph is kind of nice because you can see very quickly all the data in a picture without needing to try to interpret everything you see in the table. So how do you create a histogram? Well, what we do is we take a look at each individual row. Alright, so for the first column, the 60 to 62, we create this little area on this x-axis down here. So we see that in this table, or this bar graph, we see 60 to 62. And then we see the other range, 63 to 65, and we see 66 to 68, and etc. So the first column we put down here. And the first column is kind of like our x values, and then the number of people is kind of like y. So x would be going from left to right. Okay, so that's why we put it down here. And then y, the number of people, that's going to be up here on this y-axis. So we see the number of people. The most we have is 20. And what we want to do is create a scale for this y-axis so that we can fit all this information into the picture, but also have a clear way of seeing the numbers we have. And we don't want to write necessarily every single number. So we don't want like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, especially when you have bigger numbers, right? You don't want to have to write every single number on this y-axis. So we chose a scale, and the scale was going up by 2s. So we go from 0 to 2 to 4, 6, 8, etc. So anyway, we have here for each of these different categories, or these ranges, we fill in the bar all the way up to the number of people that we have. So this green one, we see 60 to 62. We go up to 5 because that's the number of people that we had within that range. For 63 to 65 inches, here for the second column, all right, we see that there were 12 people. So we take this bar all the way up to 12 right here. And we do that for all of them as well. All right, so we can fill in this histogram to look like this. Now, typically speaking, you will not see a number on the top. So like here we see the 5 written above the bar, the 12 here, 15, 20, 17, and 9. You don't normally see that. You have to be able to go over and see what number that it lines up with. And we see here it line up with the 12. This one lines up with between 14 and 16, which would be 15, and etc. So if you were given this histogram and pretend that the numbers are not written on the top and you had to answer the question above, how many people have a height of 68 inches or lower? Well, looking at the histogram, 68 inches would be this yellow bar graph. All right, that was 66 to 68. And then everything to the left of that would also be lower than 68. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the yellow, this I guess orangish bar, then here we have the darker green. All 3 of these have a height of 68 inches or lower. So if I just add up this 15. So this goes to 15. This one goes to 12. This one goes here to 5. Add up 15 plus 12 plus 5. We get our total number of people within that range to be 32. So my answer is 32 people, based off this histogram, have a height of 68 inches or lower. So be able to determine different informations like this based off a histogram, so know how to interpret and answer questions if given. And that concludes our lesson for today. We will see you next time.